Hey guys, Cal here with a new video on Marvel's Spider-Man 2. In this video, we'll be discussing exactly what type of future content can we expect to be added in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac, which has not only been teased by the game's creative director of Brian Intihar, but we also provided it with major teases in the game that majorly hint at new characters that could be included in inevitable DLC content for the game. So before we jump into it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to be updated on any important Spider-Man 2 news or content. If you've already seen the thumbnail or title of this video, you know that the most obvious character that will be the focus for the inevitable Marvel Spider-Man 2 DLC, and also one of the most interesting side missions in the game, which of course is the Flame, which includes Spider-Man as well as Yuri Watanabe as the Wraith, who are going after this cult leader known as the Flame, which if you have played till the end of that side mission, it's revealed that the Flame turns out to be none other than Cletus Cassidy, which comic book fans may be familiar with as the famous host of the one and only Carnage.
We hoped we'd run into you again.
You know me? Cassidy!
Think of the damage we can do now, man!
At the end of the Flame side mission, Cletus and his followers end up derailing an Oscorp train which had a symbiote on board, causing Spider-Man to be pinned down while stopping the train. And now, given that Cletus has his hands on a symbiote, it's only a matter of time before he turns into Carnage and goes complete savage on New York City, and we are all for it.
I'll let you know when I find him.
Flame wanted that train derailed, so he could get a symbiote. At least we stopped him from taking innocent lives in the process.
Nope.
Now we know that Carnage is a very high-stakes villain taken from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, which may lead to people thinking that Insomniac might want to keep him on the back burner for the inevitable Marvel Spider-Man 3, whenever that happens. But here's why I think that's not the case. We saw that at the end of the game, there's a post-credit scene which further alludes to Norman Osborn finally becoming the iconic Green Goblin in Marvel's Spider-Man 3, who Insomniac is very heavily alluding to being the main villain of the sequel, including the return of Dr. Octavius as Dr. Octopus. And given how both these characters was heavily incorporated in the main story of Spider-Man PS4, and also the continuation of Norman's character development in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, it seems that Marvel's Spider-Man 3 will heavily focus on both these characters, whereas in the case of Cletus Cassidy, his narrative was kept completely separate from the main campaign in the Flame side mission, which indicates that Insomniac may want to continue his story in a completely new DLC content. This would allow all the symbiote storylines to be wrapped up in Marvel Spider-Man 2 in its entirety, so that Marvel Spider-Man 3 would have Green Goblin and Doc Ock be the central focus of that game, with all the symbiotes being dealt with before the start of that game. Now, talking a little bit about the way this DLC could be handled, I don't think that this DLC will have the same DNA as the other DLC in Spider-Man PS4 called The City That Never Sleeps, where in the case for that game, we got 3 separate DLC content with their own individual story, and there is a possibility that we could see them go the same route here for the Carnage DLC, but personally, I think that Insomniac may want to go even bigger this time for this DLC, where they may go for a DLC expansion for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 this time around, with a completely new area in the game's map, solely for the purpose of the DLC focusing around Carnage, as well as the inclusion of new Marvel characters in the story. There's also the potential for more amazing things to be added in the potential DLC, where with the inclusion of Peter Miles' Wraith to take on Carnage, it is heavily implied by Brian Intihar that we could end up seeing the Man Without Fear making their way into Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for the first time, and that of course is none other than Daredevil.
Speaking on maps as well, we noticed like some differences between like the map changing a bit between games. One of our gameplay editors noticed Nelson and Murdoch's sign is gone. Is that intentional or is that just oops?
Are they okay?
Yeah. Did they break?
Maybe did they upgrade? We just haven't found their bigger building.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with a lot of us, I worked remotely almost the whole project, so yeah. That's a good question. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah.
There,
Good find, though.
in addition to that, I noticed a lot of
Despite that tease coming from the game's creative director himself, We also notice quite a few Easter eggs scattered across the game that do seem to tease him, which includes a very subtle reference to him at the end of the Sandman side mission.
Maybe I can ask some lawyer friends to help Marco with visitation rights.
We have also noticed a very interesting building site in the game's map where if you swing to this area, you'll find a bookstore which you can actually enter. And despite the fact that the bookstore is one of the few places you can enter within the game's city, you will also notice this red symbol, which could potentially be a tease to an enemy faction in the Marvel Universe known as the Hand, which, if you were unaware, is a pretty common faction that Daredevil usually goes toe-to-toe with. If you go behind the bookstore, you can actually see a hidden room with guns and swords and that red symbol again, further reinforcing that this may be the Hand's hideout. What's more, the game already has a mechanic where you can take out enemies in the open world with a partner by your side, like Miles Morales, Wraith, or even Harry during his Agent Venom phase. So we could definitely see Daredevil be utilized in the same way during combat as those examples, which would further increase the hype for the DLC content. Now, we sadly don't have any further information regarding when this DLC may be released, so we'll just have to wait for a little while longer. But trust me when I say that Insomniac is definitely cooking something, and when it is revealed, you'll be the first to know. And that is it for this video, guys. What do you guys think of the potential Carnage DLC in Marvel's Spider-Man 2? Does it excite you, or are you more excited if Daredevil is included in the DLC as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.